turns his nose up at the GP Dallas deck list and says he's only going to play 3 Jace main deck, 3 Mind Sculptors, and no preordains. So, but yeah, Shaheen's awesome. Just watching him play, and even though it went to time and he drew last round, I think he had a really good board position. He was playing against Rug, but he apparently beat Hallblade several times already today. I mean, I can't imagine that he would be in this situation without having already.
You're not at 7-1-1.
Yeah, without having won that. Yeah. So I'm not sure what he lost to. It leads off with a Colonnade.
Pair of Sea-Chrome Coasts, I believe.
Yeah.
Sends out a Squadron Hawk. Wall of Omens draws Shaheen in a card. Shaheen's deck is definitely much more about getting to the late game, getting there with bullets in the gun, and then taking over.
Yeah, he was talking about how he had won a game from hitting somebody once with an Inkmoth Nexus and proliferating with Contagion Class.
Yep, and just making sure that his opponent's not doing anything. Preordained from Edgar sends 2 cards to the bottom, draws cold. Squadron Hawk flies over that wall. Now that the Hawk's on the board, that wall's probably not going to do a whole lot. That was probably a 2-mana draw spell for Shaheen.
Pretty much. Cycle the wall, cycle it, and kind of end up with a little something extra, I guess. But the cool thing is it does interact with Venser and makes Venser's plus ability just like a Jace Bellerin.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is the tectonic edges which the blue-white Cawblade is able to fit in and Shaheen is able to fit in because they're only running 2 colors.
Yeah.
They become very important in this matchup, and you've got to think that Edgar is able to use them pretty aggressively on Shaheen's Colonnades.
Right.
Another Squadron Hawk is going to go fetch some more friends. That tectonic edge is up. Shaheen's got a decision to make whether he wants to trade edge for edge or whether he's willing to play his next land and let that edge take out his Colonnade.
Yeah, we do know that Shaheen has 2 Jaces in hand. At least 2, because I saw at least 2. So.
And Edgar is happier about playing this game, staying in the early game a little bit longer. He's got more stuff to do.
Right.
Yep.
And looks like Shaheen double tectonic edges on Edgar's Sea-Chrome host.
Yeah. Taking out all of his white sources. And so by activating those edges as soon as he plays it, he never gives up priority and never gives Edgar an opportunity to tech edge back.
Exactly. Edgar manages to find a white source, though.
And drop that sword. Shaheen's brought himself all the way back to turn 3. There's another tech edge.
Wow.
Not going to be able to take out that plains, though. Tumble Magnet comes down.
That would be big to keep that sword from being a factor.
And there's Jace. Tap effects are just so strong against a deck that has equipment. It's not even worth Edgar trying to equip up because he knows that
it's not going to
get to hit.
Basically, he's going to pay 2 mana to take a counter off a Tumble Magnet.
And there's a 4-mana Destroy Jace spell.
Yep. It looked a lot like Jace, actually. So.
And Edgar's just willing to go in and fight with some Hawks.
Right. Put on
until Shaheen starts stopping that. He's got no reason to stop just hitting. And what do we have up there? That looks like another Mind Sculptor.
Jace, yeah, it had
yep.
To be, yeah.
As Edgar brainstorms and drops a Colonnade. And once again, Shaheen's willing to just pay 4 to make that Jace go away. And Edgar's coming out ahead on both of those.
Right.
Going first in this matchup, definitely important.
Yeah, it definitely helped Edgar to get the 2 brainstorms out of it, and Shaheen's played just as many Jaces, but no brainstorms.
Yep, got nothing out of it. Shaheen drops that 5th land. He's holding a Sun Titan. Can't see what the rest of the hand is.
I have to say it's pretty impressive to see so many lands on the on the board after the double Tectonic Edge on what.
Yeah, when 4 of them hit the bin. When they both have a Tectonic Edge floating around right now. Edgar's only played the 1, but Shaheen's seen 3 so far this game. You got to think that the Colonnade is going to get taken down by that Tech Edge at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Preordained.
expect that to last much longer.
Shaheen's down to 10 at this point. It's got to be, and there's a double Tech Edge taking out. Looks like Colonnade and Seachrome Coast.
Yeah.
Not much difference between the Seachrome Coast and the Glacial Fortress once they're on the board.
Exactly.
There's an island, and this is not the type of game that Shaheen wants to be playing. Shaheen wants to be up higher than 4 and 5 mana, and he's never gotten there. So it's a mana leak.
Both players have double-edged.
A Sun Titan. Yep. And it's interesting that Edgar would choose to go after the Colonnade and the Seachrome Coast and not just take out the Tectonic Edge, leaving his Colonnade safe. I think he wanted to see if he could control Shaheen's access to white.
Right.
Now he does have the Sun Titan in his hand, but other than that, well, he's got another one. And he's going to go after, again, the Glacial Chasm. So he's got a lot of control over Shaheen's mana right now.
Yeah, and conveniently, Shaheen does have Day of Judgment in his hand. And now does not have double white.
Yep. All the way down to 8. Going to drop to 6 here unless he's willing to start using some counters off of that Tumble Magnet, which you've got to think he's not quite there. I think probably next turn, or he's going to hold it so that he can use it on the Celestial Colonnade. We'll see.
Yeah,
he's going to equip up, and at that point, it's worth taking taking that counter off. I think Edgar's decided that it's time to start pushing that. There's another Squadron Hawk. Goes looking for the number 4. You may see some nice sheen off of Edgar Flores' deck. That is, in fact, a fully pimped out, fully foiled out
He loves the
Cawblade deck.
Yeah. He's a very big fan of the foils.
Absolutely.
Quite the opposite of me. I don't like foils. I like having them so I can trade them for value. Because foil cards do the same thing as their regular non-foil counterparts.
So now the Scalding Tarn from Shaheen is not finding that second.
Yeah, not going to get him an extra white mana.
And that's not great for him. He's been pinged down far enough that he's not excited about taking that extra point of damage.
Right,
normally you just go and get what you need, but
right. Too bad Tundra's not legal.
Tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow we'll see what kind of blue-white list Shaheen brews up.
All right, and here comes that last Squadron Hawk. And at this point, Edgar is just pushing in here. But if Shaheen can find that second white source, he can really punish this.
Yeah, as long as he can resolve the the Day of Judgment. Edgar
we haven't seen what Edgar's got kind of holding up. There's a Contagion Clasp. That's going to take out a Hawk.
Yeah.
But at this point, he's ready to use his last counter off that Tumble Magnet. He really wanted another land there so that he could activate the Contagion Clasp, get his Tumble Magnet back up so that he's not emptying it. Emptying it means that the proliferation just isn't going to do anything.
So yeah, he has to...
So 3, did we get another sword there?
Another sword?
That's Edgar's second sword. Unlike last round where we saw 2 decks that only ran 1 main deck sword, Edgar's still running the pair of swords.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the The sword's too good.
And there's a Spell Pierce, and Shaheen's got to pick it up. Nothing to do.
Yeah, that's what happens when you see 4 tectonic edges between 2 players.
Well, he does, and
Shaheen had
that's
double
just
brainstorm, right?
just not the game that Shaheen wants to play, and Edgar being on the play, getting those 2 Jaces down,
right,
getting the brainstorms off, even though they didn't stick around. Shaheen was forced to run his Jaces right out there into him, get it knocked out.
Value, really, yeah.
And so as we go to sideboarding, let's take a look and see what we've got. 4 Flash Freezes, 4 Core Firewalkers aren't going to do anything out of the board for Shaheen.
Some stoic rebuttals, possibly.
Yep. And we were talking with David Shields about Day of Judgment and how some people like to keep in that one Day of Judgment, the Callblade mirror. Do you think anything changes up when we go into a Callblade versus blue-white control?
I mean, we saw right there how valuable Day of Judgment would have been for Shaheen.
It could have gotten
right,
absolutely.
Could have cast it, but he just couldn't. So I don't think that's a bad card to have in this matchup. I know you're, I guess not every situation is going to have 4 Squadron Hawks
absolutely.
on the board, but those. If you can keep creatures off the board, those swords don't do anything.
Yeah, and I think that the type of deck that Shaheen is playing, Day isn't. It's one of those cards that it's equal on both sides, but Shaheen's deck really breaks that because he doesn't care about his guys.
Right, exactly.
Any guy that he's dropping, especially now, the Wall of Omens just aren't all that impressive.
Right.
He does have the Frost Titan and the Sun Titan, but he is. But once those come down, you're in the part of the game that he wants to be in. The days are to get you to that part of the game.
Exactly. So yeah, I think I have no problem with keeping a Day of Judgment.
And actually, he could pull one in from the board.
Yeah.
He's also got 2 Divine Offerings that we've got to think are going to come in.
Yeah, I think that they're pretty much there for the opposing swords, and I was just trying to see, but I was going to say Tumble Magnets, but Edgar doesn't run Tumble Magnets.
So we've got 3 cards that want to come in. The 2 other cards in the board that we haven't talked about yet, there's 2 Stoic Rebuttals and 2 Into the Royals. Now, I don't think that either of those come in unless there's something you really want to pull out.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the priority is the Divine Offerings, and then possibly the Day of Judgment.
Yep. Now the question is, what comes out? Do you think that the Journey to Nowheres may?
Yeah, because I don't think the journeys are very good. I mean, you're going to remove a Squadron Hawk. I think those are there for Lotus Cobras and things like that.
And Titans.
Right, exactly.
Get those off the board. I think probably what we'd see out of Shaheen would be 3 cards in, 3 cards out. So we're thinking probably the Day of Judgment and the 2 Divine Offerings come in for the 3 Journey to Nowhere.
That seems good. I like Into the Royal, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know if I like it as much as.
Now, with Wall of Omens being essentially just a cantrip, is that something that should probably come out?
If he wants to make room, yeah, I may shave off a Wall of Omens or something, but then again, he does want to interact with Venser.
Absolutely.
And being able to get, not just blink an island.
Now we're off to a start. Shaheen started with a Glacial Fortress, followed with a Marsh Flats. Edgar started with a Celestial Colonnade, and on turn 2 preordains and finds an island. Not the turn 2 that Callblade wants to run.
Yeah.
Tectonic Edge from Shaheen. And interestingly, we noticed last game that going second in the Tectonic Edge battle actually makes a big difference.
Yeah.
2 mana should lead to one of Callblade's signature plays.
And there's a mana
leak. There's a mana leak.
Spell Pierce back
answered
up.
by a Spell Pierce. Looks like he gets to go search.
Let's see, Shaheen does not run Spell Pierce, it looks like.
Nope. With the amount of actual counter magic that he runs, it might become superfluous. It's something that's nice to have access to, especially if you're Callblade and you're going to have those fights. You're going to have those fights early,
right? Just
and
like
you're
what
going to
happened,
be fighting about something that you're investing mana in. You want your spells to be very, very efficient,
right?
But Spell Pierce, as a card that really grinds down in how useful it is later in the game.
Right.
and that's where Shaheen wants to get to.
Yeah,
Tumble
very
Magnet
diminishing
comes
returns
down.
there. So that's a nice.
Makes that sword a lot less threatening.
Exactly, nice foil to a sword. But here goes Edgar with the first Jace, and did Shaheen miss a land drop? He did.
Shaheen did. He searched out the plains to go searching for that. Doesn't seem all that excited about missing land drop. Once again, Shaheen just not getting to the part of the game that he wants to be in.
Yeah, really crummy.
There's another Celestial Colonnade. There's a Squadron Hawk. Mana leak from Shaheen. Does Edgar have another Spell Pierce, or does he even care at this point? He's got an active Jace. Pass it back over. Figuring there's probably better things to fight about down the road.
Right. So there's a
second Tectonic Edge.
Right.
He does have Day, but he also has the Divine Offering for the sword as it comes down. Now, even though he has the Tumble Magnet there, you think you got to run it out. Looked like he may actually have a second Divine Offering next time.
Yeah. Trying to take a look. I figure, yeah, it seems like why not conserve the Tumble Magnet, especially when he's a little bit behind right now.
Another Squadron Hawk goes searching.
Probably wants to conserve that Tumble Magnet for as long as possible. So I think the Divine Offerings are there for the swords. The Tumble Magnets can obviously be a little more versatile and just tapping the creatures that
certainly
maybe they're only doing one, but it'll conserve some life.
Now you've got to think Edgar's gotten off 3 or 4 activations of Jace, and
that's
is that
pretty big? Yeah.
Is that just Shaheen's too far behind at this point?
So now we're going to see. Does Edgar have a counterspell? Not a counterspell, but a.
They have Judgment. Might as well drop the sword.
Right, exactly. While he can, why not?
No reason not to get that on the board.
Right. The other thing that Tumble Magnet's great at is tapping down activated colonnades or Gideons that turn into dudes. So, not so for Divine Offering.
Tectonic Edge takes out a Tectonic Edge. Edgar is definitely thinking about the Colonnade plan. He's deep enough into his mana. He's getting to the part of the game that Shaheen wants to be playing, while Shaheen's still sitting here playing.
Yeah,
the
trying to
game.
develop his board. Yeah, like very early game board.
There's an Ever-Flowing Chalice for 1.
Kind of replaces that Tectonic Edge mana, but
you don't want to be spending mana to replace mana.
Doing, yeah. Not what he wants to be doing. And there's a mana leak for Flores for that Chalice. And Edgar has
definitely cognizant of what part of the game Shaheen wants to be playing and keeping him away from it.
Yeah. And Edgar drops another Colonnade.
I think we are at a point where Jace has just done too much damage.
Yeah.
Edgar's up 4 or 5 cards. Just Shaheen would have to. He's not going to be able to. Just lets it walk through.
Right. So there's a Divine Offering for the Tumble Magnet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now with him having Tumble Magnet and Ever-Flowing Chalice and Contagion Clasp, there certainly are targets for the Divine Offering.
So Edgar equipped with the sword, then dropped a Jace Bellerin, drew a card, and went in with the Hawk and the other Hawk with the sword, I think. Yeah. He conveniently covers up the creature with the sword.
Well, he is. And there's a Day, which it just isn't going to make it through. At this point, Shaheen. He's got to pick it up at that point.
Yeah, it's really a shame because I wanted to watch Magic. I wanted to watch 2